Hello everyone, welcome to iter8's sixth podcast, and today's podcast topic is motion designing. And today we have an amazing guest with us, whose her name is Sneha Shetty, and she's an amazing motion designer and have worked with big companies like Walt Disney as well as Netflix. So hi Sneha, how are you? And can you tell
Hi,
yourself about who you are and what you do to the audience?
hi Vansh. First of all, thank you for inviting me. And this is my first podcast, and this is the first time that I'm showing my face on the internet, if you
Amazing.
would like to say that. So, I would introduce myself. My name is Sneha Shetty. I'm from Mumbai, and I have over 11 years of experience in motion design. So, as you know, like motion design is a very vast field, and my area of expertise is broadcast designing.
Hmm.
So, I have worked with multiple TV channels like Sub TV, B4U Music, and National Geographic, Disney, and right now I have left my full time job and I am a full time freelancer right now.
Okay.
Um, so, I'm freelancing with Netflix and Amazon as of now.
Amazing, amazing. So, I always do this in every single podcast, and I don't know why I mention it again and again. But let's start with the roadmap of getting into motion designing.
Okay. So, first of all, do you want me to explain what exactly is motion design?
Amazing.
Right?
Yes, let's start with that.
Yeah. Okay. So, any graphic element or any design that moves on screen is basically, like, to put it in the very simplest format, that is a motion design. Any design that moves. Now, it's a very broad spectrum, right?
Hmm.
So it can be anything that you see on TV, in concerts, or like on billboards, on social media platform, anywhere. So it's a very vast field. And sorry, I lost my chain of thought.
No
One
worries.
second. Okay. So what was the question? Roadmap to getting into motion design, right?
Yes.
Huh. So this is what motion design entails. First of all, if you want to get into this field, you really have to figure out your specialization, right? What you really want to do. If you want to do everything all at once, then you'll get confused. So first of all, you need to do your research. Do you want to get into broadcast? Do you want to work in ad industry, or do you want to work for movie? So that is what you need to first figure out. And as a motion designer, you'll be required to do a lot of things, like from ideation to creating mood boards, and then creating style frames, animating it, compositing it, editing it, and then doing, sometimes even doing the sound effects.
Hmm.
So it can be a little intimidating. So that's why, like, if you want to get into this field, I would suggest, like, do your research 100%. And if you want to, like, be a jack of all trades, and if you're willing to put in the hard work, then only I would suggest, like, to get into this.
Okay, very interesting. As actually, when you see a proper motion design art style, it's very, very attractive and it's very beautiful to actually just notice what actually is happening. And
Right.
with that thought, everyone is actually very curious. Which all tools and softwares to actually use to create these styles and these types sort of motion designs?
Correct. So, like, a one motion designer cannot be exactly like another motion designer. Everybody has their own niche, right? So someone is a 2D designer, or some people like 3D motion design. Some people like, they draw frame by frame and go the traditional way. So it's a vast field. And as for, like, the softwares, if you're doing 2D, then obviously you would have to learn Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and maybe Soundboard. And if you're going to the 3D route, I would suggest Cinema 4D and Blender. And I would push Blender to anybody who's just getting into the field, because the software is free and there are a lot of tutorials available online. So, depending on what sort of designer you want to be, 2D or 3D, the software will depend on that.
Got it, got it. So, what all are the different types of motion designing? As you mentioned, that all the software depends on the type of motion designer you wanna be.
Correct.
What are the
So,
different types? Yeah.
so first is, like, uh, it is categorized by design, like different sort of design. So it's 2D, 3D, and traditional. So these are the main three categories. Apart from that, where the motion design is going to be used, is it going on a huge billboard, or is it going to be on a TV channel? Like if it's going on broadcast, then how the design is made differs from if it's going to be on a billboard, right? So the dimensions are different, and the workflow is completely different. If you want to create motion design, for example, something which is going to be played on the background of a concert, right? Like recently, I had attended Post Malone's concert.
Wow.
So there was a huge LED screen, and a lot of motion designs, motion graphics were being played. So if you want to get into that sort of design, then there's a completely different workflow. So there's broadcast, there is ad films, then there is movies, then social media motion design, that like what you see on reels and on YouTube. Apart from that, there are explainer videos that goes on, and logo animations, and what else? OTT platform, like opening sequences of movies and TV shows. Everything, like all of this is in the big umbrella of motion design. So there are various categories that you can work with.
Got it. Very interesting. That's why I chose motion designing as a very interesting topic, because I think it holds some kind of future as well. And talking about the future, what are your thoughts on motion design? If someone wanna get into like motion designing in 2023, what do you think are the jobs, perspectives, and everything?
I'll tell you, like, because people, since the rise of AI, people are really getting scared now, like getting into arts and like graphics in general. And you know, like there are these websites, they sell pre-animated packages like together, and there are subscription-based models. And you actually start to wonder, like, if a company is providing thousands of templates for $25 per month, is it really a good investment to get into this field, right? But then again, like if there is a major client like Nike or Coca-Cola, they would never just use templated stuff, right? They would go to a studio and pay millions of dollars to get a single ad done. So big clients will never go for subscription-based models or stuff which is freely available, like on Free Pick or Envato or any other place. So you have to keep in mind and keep this in mind and not get scared that AI is rising or it's motion design. People are actually creating graphics on Canva now, which I think is ridiculous. But okay, if it's a small scale project, then it's okay. But a client like Netflix or Disney would never offer something like that. So don't be overwhelmed. Don't be scared before getting into the field. Do your research. If your storytelling and your creativity is there, you will obviously get a lot of jobs and you can make a lot of money. Like absolutely, like people think that there isn't much money in motion design or graphic design in general. But from my experience, I would say there's a lot of money and there is a lot of potential in the market to tap into. You just need to be creative, and most of all, you need to know how to market yourself, like how to be an established designer, build your brand. If you can crack that, then definitely you can make upwards of 5-6 lakhs per month, easy. I would say.
So like talking about money here, and you said 5-6 lakhs is a very good amount. And what if someone is just starting out and and they actually face a lot of problems while creating this motion design, right? What are the basic steps you follow to create your motion designs?
See, now I have more than 10 years of experience, right? So I have a different sort of workflow. But somebody who's just starting out, I would say first you have to decide, do you want to work with an agency or work as a freelancer? So for all the youngsters, I would say you first work in a corporation, like just to learn how the workflow is, how to handle the client, learn the client servicing part of it, like how the brief comes. The brief is sometimes so vague that there's no way of figuring out like what the client wants. So that's the most crucial step of cracking the brief. And it's just sometimes it's just like mind reading, like what the client actually wants and what he says is completely different. You just need to crack that code, and if you can deliver what the client is looking for, then half of the work is almost done, right? And what happens with creative individuals is like, if the client wants a red logo but you personally don't like red, you want to maybe create a blue logo, and if you put that influence in the design is obviously going to get rejected. This is just a very basic example. So first, learn how to crack the client's brief. First thing, do that. And first, join an ad agency or a broadcast agency. Work in the field for like good 2-3 years before being on your own. First, do that. As this is just the how to get the work part. But to learn the softwares, I would say, so now I have done a 3-year course, 3-year degree, but it's not required to have a degree even to get a job. Like I was working with Disney, and a lot of my teammates did not have a design degree. They just had a kick. I don't know if I could say that, but they had a kick-ass show reel, and that's what matters. If you are a very disciplined person and you can follow a routine, and if you can just follow the tutorials online and be self-disciplined to teach yourself a software, then obviously just follow YouTube tutorials, just follow tutorials and Skillshare, and you're good. But if you can't have a disciplined lifestyle and you can't like get into the routine, I would say join a small course which will offer you a degree, and then start from there. Build a show reel and then start from there.
Got it. Very interesting intake you have on this side, and I'm sure all the listeners here are getting something from this podcast. And one thing you mentioned before was you have to know how to market yourself. What do you think? What do you mean by that marketing side, and how to actually improve that side?
Right. So this is my personal opinion. Okay, nowadays people think that marketing yourself is like just making reels on social media, right? And I would like to mention this, like 90% of the artists who are big in this industry do not even have an Instagram account. Marketing is like just word of mouth, networking inside the industry, networking with the clients, which can actually give you work. People who are scrolling reels on Instagram are probably not your audience, are not your client. They might give you some work, like just make a logo for my shop, or like small scale business owners will just give you like 5-10,000 maximum to just design a logo. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like working with a client, then having work so good that the client refers you as an artist to the next person who asks, who did your branding or who created your design, like who made this. So this industry, personally in Mumbai, it works from word of mouth.
Okay.
Right. So I would say do that. If you're not from Mumbai, then network on LinkedIn and Behance. Those are your main platforms. If you have a creative, a kida inside of you, then you can just make reels on Instagram. But I don't think you would find quality clients there. So stick to the art platforms to get the quality clients. But if you want to be an art influencer or like get brand deals, then you can go on Instagram. Otherwise, stay clear of Instagram and be on Behance or LinkedIn.
Okay. So very interesting as well again. And when I am also like a designer, okay, and when I design, I face a sort of creative block. Do you face that while actually in doing motion designing?
Of course, like whenever a brief comes, and when you start to jot down the ideas and there is a blank page in front of you, and you just can't think of any ideas, that's with every project, no matter how much experience you have and how many projects you have worked on, but cracking that initial idea is always there. Like the scary part is always there. So what I do is I just jot down the like if I have a brief, for example, I have to create a logo for some juice brand, example, Tropicana, for example. So I would jot down the 10 worst ideas that I could think of, the
Okay.
most obvious, the most like silly ideas. I'll just get something on the paper. So it's not empty. First of all, it's not empty. You have already like done with 10 bad ideas that come to your head. And then you can start thinking of the next like 11th idea or a 12th idea, which can be unique. So I do this to sometimes get out of that creative rut. But obviously, like with every project is different, the brief is different, the client can be intimidating. If you're working with a big client, you have this pressure
Hmm.
of performing the best. You face like you always have imposter syndrome. You have all of these things like in the back of your mind, but just with a little bit of practice every single day, it gets easier like with time.
Okay. So, as you have cleared that out as well, right? My creative block is also gone. But one problem that is always there in Indian mindset is there future in this, right?
Hmm.
So I'll ask you this question and just reply me with a yes or no, and then give your reason. All right. So, what do you think is can actually motion design become the next big thing in design?
The next big thing?
Like,
No,
no. Okay.
no, it
My,
cannot be the next big thing because I would say that the next big thing is going to be AI, right?
hmm.
You can't deny that with the technology that is being advanced, like how it's progressing. Now AI just can do graphics, right? But soon it can also do animation or like create a full-fledged 1 minute animated video. You don't know that.
Hmm.
So one thing that cannot be replaced is your creativity. Like even with AI, you have to act as a art director, right? With
Hmm.
every field, there's somebody to direct it. Like be it some like if you're heading a team of 10 people or it be AI, there has to be a director, right? So that can never be replaced. So even in motion design, if you have the creativity, then it's just the matter of tools. If you're even if you're using like Cinema 4D, Blender, After Effects, or anything, tomorrow you might use some AI generated software. But what's in your mind and what you can visualize, nobody can take that away from you, right? So if you have that potential, obviously with anything in this world, if you are passionate about anything, then you can make it work. When I was joining, when I was entering the field, engineering was the big thing.
Yeah.
So obviously I worked against the odds, but then I'm pretty satisfied with what I have done. So same with this, like if you have the mindset and if you are passionate about it, you can definitely make it. And
Amazing.
what's even the point of doing something that you don't like, right?
Yeah.
Even if there's no scope, like if I'm a singer, but somebody tells me, Are, there's no scope in singing, like only 1% people make it as a playback singer. But
True.
that doesn't mean you won't pursue it, right? You'll still pursue it. So that's the need. That was the itch in me, like to pursue design, even though the odds were against me, but I still pursued it. So if you really are passionate, then I think you should definitely pursue it. Otherwise, like do whatever you're passionate about. Don't think about, because you don't know what the world is going to be in the next 10 years,
Very
especially
true.
if you're a 20-year-old kid. You can never predict anything. You can never predict technology. So it's better to stick with what you are passionate about and work hard.
Okay. As you have 11 years of experience, and with the time progressing, you also have learned a lot of new things.
Hmm.
And also, motion design has evolved with the period of time. What do you think is the future and the past 5 years, and what's the growth of motion design like? Is it going like up, and is it going like on a steady pace?
So, like when motion design began, so there were like how it began. I'll tell you. Uh, when I was working in one company, so there were a team of designers who will just design the style frames, and there was a team of animators who will animate those uh, style frames. So there were designers and then there were animators. Now, what happened was, like a lot of new softwares came into the market, the designers started animating, and the animators also started designing, right? So now it's a amalgamation of like you have to design plus you have to animate the entire thing. Now the third aspect has come, like between all of the animators and designers there was a third person called the producer, who would think of the idea, like what the idea is and like what the art style is going to be. Now the designer is expected to design, animate, and also act like a producer, like who can think. And now the job of producer was to deal with the clients to deliver the final output. So now you are expected to do everything. Like in the last 5 years, this is what has been the major uh, change in this industry. Like if you just know the tools, you can't make it. You need to know how to talk to a client. You need to know how to animate plus design and like do the entire workflow, create mood boards, create presentation, pitch your idea. So that is what has completely changed. And if you're a person that can do everything, like from start to end, from mood boarding to creating and doing the entire workflow, then obviously your graph will be up. But if you are just working in a pipeline, you know what like a pipeline is in big production houses, you're assigned doing, you just have to do one thing. Like there's a 3D modeler, then there is a lighting artist. Like so the modeler will not know how to do lighting, the lighting artist will not know how to do animation. But in motion design, you need to do everything: modeling, texturing, lighting, animating, rendering, compositing, everything. So if you know all of these things, then your graph will always be up, and you will always be in demand, right? So you have to. So if you're working in a pipeline, then I would say it's getting pretty stagnant, money wise also, opportunities wise also. But if you know everything, then your graph will always be up.
I actually gained a lot of insights from this last few minutes that you are actually talking about. And you have great experience, Neha. But I want to know how's it like to actually work with big companies like Walt Disney, and how's the workflow? What are the experience that you gain, and like how's the atmosphere like over there?
Uh, how do I put it? Like I need to be politically correct, okay? So even though it's Disney, the company that I work for was in India, right? So even though it was one international brand, the work culture was still Indian, right? So now I work for Netflix, which is based in US. So I work with the US team. So we have a proper 9 to 5 job. Like they are 9 to 5, my 8 to 3 in the night. But we don't have work on the weekends. We have a pretty, strict code of conduct of how many working hours you are putting in. But with any production house in India, be it Disney, be it Sony, be it Viacom, the work pressure is intense. And especially for girls, if any girl is thinking, because I can speak from a woman's point of view, it's very difficult to survive if you're not willing to put in like those extra hours. So in all of the companies that I've worked in like BFU, then I was working in Disney's, I was the only girl in the entire team because the pressure was so much. So in terms of work culture and work pressure and working with big clients, again, like it's like any corporate job. If the sorry, there's some words. It's like any corporate job. There's always pressure. If not less than the IT companies, there's always more pressure. So you have to be prepared for that. And if you are a freelancer, then that's a completely different ballgame. You can choose your working hours. You can decide which projects to take on. But again, there is always uncertainty. You don't know when the next check is coming, right? So you need to decide like what it is that you want, like how comfortable if you're working without a constant paycheck, or like if you want to compromise on your working hours. So it's completely your decision.
Okay, that actually gave me a lot of different possibilities. I saw that you mentioned that obviously there's a code of conduct that you have to follow. You have to be professional as well with these companies. And I want to know, not everyone can land their first job in Netflix or at Walt Disney. So did you start with these companies or you were in a smaller company before?
So my first job was in Sub TV. Do you know Sub TV?
No.
Shri Adhikar Brothers, where Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma comes. There's a popular Indian series. So it's basically one channel on obviously on Dish that comes. So I used to work there before. It was not easy getting a job at Disney. There were around 11 rounds of interview. It took over 3 months, and to get that first initial contact. So how like in Mumbai, how everything works is, again, I told you, it's word of mouth. You need to know somebody. I don't want to, just like give false hopes to somebody that you can just get a job without any contact. You probably need some kind of connection to just get your resume inside, and to just even have that information that, okay, there's a position that's open. They don't put it out on the websites, right? They do if they can't find somebody for 2-3 months, but that initial information is very important. And if you have people inside of the company there, or like somebody that you know, which will obviously help you, that's why I said that networking is very important. And like in all of my jobs, even when I was working for B4U Music, I had a person who was working there, a friend of mine who was working there, who recommended me. So it works on recommendation. Obviously, first thing is information, if there's a job opening or not. Second is recommendation, and third thing is your showreel. Obviously your showreel needs to be good, like, but if your showreel is good but there's nobody to see it, it won't do you any good, right? So all three factors need to be in place to crack a job at a big company. I would not lie and say, okay, just work hard and automatically these companies will see your work. No, you need to network. You need to reach out to people on LinkedIn. You need to be in touch with these people who are important, or who might like get you in the correct place at the correct time. So you need all of the three things to work in your favor to land a good job.
Okay. So we are almost done. I am almost completed with my questions because motion design is super new to me, and I actually wanna create. I've seen this different reels of people with their iPads, scribbling on Procreate and creating animations. That is very innovating, I feel like, and it's very interesting as well. So is like iPad is the only way where people can actually create that things, different illustrations, or do you actually want some other, be it laptop, be it another PC?
See, Procreate is only good for like, I would say 10 seconds of animation, because there's a limited storage in the Procreate app as well. Even if you have the full app, you can't possibly create a 1 minute animation on it, right? So for smaller animation and just to practice your drawing skills, it's good. But if you want to, you can't make a 3-hour movie on Procreate, even if you're drawing the frames, because the software doesn't, it's an app in the end. It's not a complete graphic software, right? So only for small scale projects you can probably get away with Procreate. But if you want to create a 1 minute, 2 minute, or 3 minute 3 minutes of hand drawn animation, you would have to switch to a professional app with a professional tab, like Wacom or something like that. So yeah.
Got it. So with that being said, all of my questions are done, but we have one last segment. Whatever tips and advices do you have for the audience over here, you can shoot that at them and just tell them what actually is the process like and everything.
Okay. So my biggest tip would be stay updated with all the new softwares, all the new plugins that are coming in. Okay. Just don't start from like the very beginning of everything. Just don't start with like 3ds Max, Maya, anything. Just see what new thing is currently trending. If Blender is trending, Blender has a lot of new plugins, lot of new things that you could do without putting in a lot of effort. So stay updated. A lot of people in my field get irrelevant because they are not up to date with technology. So first, you need to be up to date with all the technology, all the softwares. Practice every single day. Like, use Instagram for that. People do 365-day challenges. People do Inktober, like, so many things, so many 30 to 36 days of type. So these are like very good exercises to do, so that you can get the hang of being like thinking of a new idea every single day. So these two are like my major main tips for learning. And apart from that, networking, as I said, talk to your peers, talk to the people who are making it big in the industry, DM them, reach out to them, message them on LinkedIn, whatever. Like, gain insights. Do that. That's probably the most important thing. So these three things, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. And I think there's also practice involved here. And guys, if you want to actually become the best motion designer, I think Sneha will also agree with me on this.
Yeah.
That practice makes a man perfect.
Perfect.
And just keep on
Look at
practicing.
Beeple. Like, sorry, I cut you off.
No
Look at
worries.
Beeple. He's been doing every day for 10 years.
Who?
Right. So, Beeple, do you follow him?
No, how is it spelled?
So it's BEEPLE underscore C Beeple Crab. So you can just, he's the
Beepled.
most, Beeple. He's the most famous motion designer. He has made millions of dollars overnight selling his NFTs. Like, but he's been creating a new artwork every single day for 10 years. That's insane.
Wow.
So do check him out though.
Sure. I'll just show it on the screen as well for the guys to actually check him out. And guys, I think Sneha is just an amazing person, and I hope that you actually gained a lot of insights. With her being coming on this platform is a very big deal for me as well, and she gave me very good insights. Thank you so much, Sneha, for actually coming to this podcast and making a revolution for us. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope I was helpful. Like I said, this is my first time facing a camera and being on a podcast. So I was a little nervous, but I hope that whatever I said was clear. And and if anybody has any more questions, they can DM me, or they can reach out to me, any more queries. So I'm always happy to help.
Sure. And there's also the comment section as well, guys, in this video.
Yeah.
You can check, you can ask any questions if you have, and or you can DM Sneha. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.